Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Canadian Shield. My name is Sterling. I'm your host. So the crime stats were released yesterday from Stats Canada, and it's pretty appalling, the increase in numbers. And you'll hear Pierre Poilievre make reference to them in his address to the press that he made in London, Ontario yesterday. I did a video on the fight that the CTV reporter attempted to pick with the leader of the opposition. Of course, that report didn't come out very well, and the Liberal Party is not coming out very well on the crime stats. Now, before I get into it, I would point out that he's talking about numbers that are over the course of the 9 years. So when you hear him talk about these stats, yes, they have increased from 22 to 23, absolutely. However, they are not the numbers that you hear him say. What you hear MP Poilievre say are the increases over the 9 years, which is worse in many ways, right? Because it indicates a gradual and progressive increase that has never been checked by the federal government or any of the individuals that they have paid for advice, right? Because they spend a lot of money on paying these outside consultants. And, okay, before I get into it, I would encourage you to like, comment, subscribe, share this channel with all of your socials. Okay, so let's listen to him talk about the increase in the numbers.
Stats Canada. Data released moments ago show that violent crime is up 50% after 9 years of Trudeau and the NDP Liberals. Homicides up 28%. Sexual assaults 75% higher. Violent firearm offenses up 116%, more than double. Extortion up 357% as small business owners get letters telling them that if they don't pay $1 million, there'll be a bullet flying through their 6-year-old daughter or son's bedroom window in the middle of the night. That's what's happening on our streets. Auto theft up 46%. This is the direct result of NDP Liberal catch and release policies that turn the same repeat offenders loose on our streets again and again and again. Just last week, we saw a story of 18 offenders charged with 150 crimes. 9 of them were already out on some sort of early release, and since their arrest, 6 of them have been released again.
Shocking.
And what do you know? They're out doing more and more crime. A very tiny group of criminals doing all the crime. Even the justice minister has had his car stolen 3 times. Incredible. You'd think the criminals would be somewhat grateful that he keeps releasing them. But no, they steal his car too, and he is too dense to figure out that they should be locked up. This is the same guy who said that crime wasn't rising, it was just a perception. He said that Canadians were just believing crazy conspiracy theories about crime, and that the smart people who stare at screens and look at spreadsheets knew better. Well, now the spreadsheets are out, and they confirm that catch and release, wacko NDP Liberal policies have caused one of the worst crime waves in Canadian history. Look at the firearms issue. Remember they told us if they banned hunters and sport shooters who are licensed, law-abiding, trained, and tested, that those people that all of a sudden we wouldn't have gun crime? Well, here we are, more crime. Why? It turns out that hunters are not the problem, nor are licensed sport shooters. They've already been trained and tested. They've had all of their backgrounds checked, and they're daily checked on the police database system. Right? Those people don't commit crime. I want to protect Canadians from criminals, while Trudeau and the NDP want to protect turkeys from hunters. You decide which makes more sense to you.
What a line. You decide which makes more sense to you. I say it all the time. You decide which one you think is better for you. Do you think that... No, I want to speak to some of the things that he alluded to, right? First of all, this is an absolutely a responsibility of the federal government. Because one of the things that they have done is drive a wedge. So now you have people coming to Canada who will then just stay inside of their little bubble, whether that be East Indian, whether that be Asian in any way, shape, or form, or if they are, if they are of the rainbow. So these isolated groups are easier to target for criminals because they do not trust the overlord, the authorities. And who can blame them? The Liberal government is completely and utterly wacko. Yesterday, there was a letter sent to the Justice Minister, and it was sent by the premiers of the provinces saying to him and to the Liberal Party as a whole that we have to start doing more on crime. And he put out a statement on X, a joint statement on X, saying that it wasn't his fault, that crime is the problem is the responsibility of the province. But the legislation that he enacted is not the legislation of the province. That's the legislation of the federal government. Bill C-75, Bill C-5, these are federal bills, which means the judges that are sitting behind the bench, 80% of which make donations to the Liberal Party, P.S., it means those judges are following the federal legislation because of the system that we work in. This isn't the United States of America as much as the Liberal Party wishes that it were. And when you enact federal legislation, that federal legislation touches every single solitary square foot of this country. So they are, in fact, responsible. What I don't like is how they know this crime is going on. They see these stats just like everybody else, and they just tried to pass the buck. It's always somebody else's fault with the Liberal Party. It's never theirs. Their policies, they enact everything. They put everything into place. They spend all of the money. But somehow when the bill comes due, it's never them to blame. How can we call these people leaders? These seems to be avoiders. They're not leading the way. They're dodging. They get upset every time you confront them over these numbers, over these situations, over the reality that we're living in. I think that some of the crime stats that Pierre Poilievre mentioned are pretty shocking when you consider how many assaults of the don't touch me in the no-no places that they were talking about. I mean, at what point do you want to restore law and orders in the country? At what point do you want to tell yourself that I ran away from a country filled with violence and no accountability to come to a country that has now, because of the current government, become violent and unaccountable? What kind of future do you have in mind when you came here? What kind of lifestyle did you have in mind when you came here? Was it scraping to get by? Because I'm pretty sure you could have done that wherever you were. I think that Canadians need to start to hold not only the federal government accountable for crime, but the municipal government, right? It's the Toronto police system. They are right on that, right? It's the Vancouver police, right? It's these guys that are turning a blind eye. I mean, the Peel police went in, busted these 18 people. 9 of them were already out on bail. 6 got released already again. Do you think that they're going to be sitting on bail doing no crime? Is that what you believe? You believe their little bracelet is going to keep them stuck in the house? That's not going to happen. There's only, really one deterrent for people who are committing crimes, and that is to be punished for committing that crime. If you don't punish them, they're not going to stop. They wouldn't do that. They don't ever learn the lesson. I just think that it's time we as a culture decided what matters to you more. Does it matter to you more that you stay within inside of a certain community? Or does it matter to you more that your community lives the same caliber of freedom and the ability to start a business without being threatened, the ability to have a nice car without being threatened to have it stolen? Do you want that to be the same for everyone? Because that's what a society actually is a group of people who come together to create a body and to create a vision. That's just my opinion. All right, I'm going to wrap here. I want to thank you all for listening. I'll talk to you next time.